So someone wants to work with you. They've seen your page or they've had a conversation with you, or they came through a referral maybe, and they've said the magic words, I'm interested. How do I sign up? Or maybe, can we talk about working together? And instead of the clean, confident, here's what happens next that you've been imagining, what actually happens is you panic again. Not visibly necessarily. From the outside, you probably look fine. But inside, your brain is running through a very rapid series of very unhelpful questions. Do I need a contract? Where do I get a contract? Should I have a contract template already? What do I put in it? Do I invoice them or send a payment link? What platform do I use for that? Should I have an onboarding pack? What does an onboarding pack actually look like? Am I supposed to have all this sorted out before I take money from someone? And while your brain is doing all of this, the person who wants to give you their money is waiting. And the longer they wait, the more likely they are to quietly move on. Not because they've changed their mind about you, but because the friction of an unclear next step was slightly more than the momentum of their initial enthusiasm. This is what I call the admin stall, and it kills more first sales than almost anything else. That's what we're sorting out today. Hey up, I'm Leigh, and this is week 12 of Basic AF. Let's get into it. Here's what I want you to understand about the admin stall. It is not laziness, and it's not incompetence. It's a combination of two things usually, perfectionism and genuine uncertainty. The perfectionism part says I need to have everything professionally set up before I take money from someone. Proper contracts, branded invoices, a beautiful onboarding sequence. If I don't have all of that, I'm not ready. And the genuine uncertainty part says, I actually don't know what I'm supposed to have in place here. Nobody told me about this. I've been so focused on building the offer and finding the clients that I never thought through what happens when someone actually says yes. Both of these are understandable, but neither should be stopping you. Here's the truth. Your first client does not need a branded onboarding sequence. They need to know how to pay you, when you're starting, and what to expect. That's it. The rest can be built as you go. And frankly, it's better to be built after your first delivery anyway, because you'll learn things in that first engagement that will change how you do it. The minimum viable sale is much simpler than you think. And that's what we're going to be building today. You might remember Priya from week 9, I think it was. Career coach, former HR manager, had been working on a sales page for 4 months, right? She published it. She sent the link to 4 people who'd asked, and 2 of them booked calls. The first call went well, really well. The person, a woman in her mid-30s who is exactly Priya's person, feeling completely stuck in her career, asked her all the right questions and ended the call by saying, this sounds like exactly what I need. How do I book in? Priya said she'd send the details over. And then she spent 4 days trying to find the right contract template online, downloading 3 different ones, deciding they were all too long, too short, or too American, attempting to write her own from scratch, getting very overwhelmed, closing the laptop, opening the laptop, researching invoice software, signing up for a free trial of something, realizing she didn't know what to put in an invoice, and generally doing everything except sending the woman the information she needed to actually become a client. By the time Priya sent the email 6 days after the call, the woman replied very politely to say that she decided to try something else for now. Priya will never know if that decision was already made before the email arrived or if the 6-day silence was what tipped it. But let's face it, the 6-day silence isn't going to have helped, is it? The gap between I'm interested and here's how to proceed should be measured in hours, not days. And the way to make that possible is to have your minimum viable admin sorted before you need it. Not perfect, just sorted. Let's talk about what you actually need to have in place for a first sale. I'm going to break this into 3 parts: the agreement, the payment, and the start. Part 1, the agreement. You need something in writing that says what you're providing, how much it costs, and on what terms. That's what a contract is. It doesn't need to be a 12-page legal document. Not at this stage. A simple service agreement of 1 or 2 pages is completely sufficient. What does it need to cover? Well, what you're providing, obviously, but you need to be specific, not coaching services. Put something like 3 one-to-one hour sessions, 60 minutes each, delivered via Zoom over a 6-week period. What does it cost and when is payment due? Is it full payment up front or a split cost? Half after sign-in, second half before the final session, or whatever structure you've decided on. Payment plans, etc. Just write it down. What happens if someone cancels? Do you offer refunds? Under what circumstances? What's your notice period for rescheduling? This doesn't have to be complicated. Sessions cancelled with less than 24 hours notice will be forfeited. That is a complete cancellation policy. But what happens also if you need to cancel or reschedule? You're a human being after all, and things happen. What's your commitment to them if you need to move something? And finally, confidentiality. A simple line saying that what they share with you stays with you and vice versa. That's it. 5 things. You can write this in a Google Doc and send it as a link, or use a simple e-signature tool like DocuSign or Signable. There are 3 tiers on both of those. You do not need a solicitor to draft your first service agreement. You need a clear, honest document that sets out what both parties are agreeing to. If you work with physical products rather than services, your equivalent would be clear terms at the checkout, what you're selling, the price, your dispatch time frame, and your returns policy. Same principle, clarity in writing before money changes hands. Part 2, the payment. You need a way to receive money that isn't your personal bank account details sent in an email. Not because there's anything wrong with the bank transfer, there isn't, but because giving out your sort code and account number to everyone you work with is unnecessary when there are better options, because a payment link is a cleaner, faster, low-friction experience for the person paying. Your options at this stage, things like Stripe. Takes cards, easy to set up, professional-looking payment link that you can send in an email or put on your page, or an invoice. Small percentage fee per transaction. PayPal, widely known, easy to use, payment links or invoice links. Slightly clunky, but familiar to most people. A simple invoicing tool. Wave is free. FreshBooks, QuickBooks, Xero, all have paid plans, but a decent free trial. These let you send a proper invoice with a payment link attached, one document, one action for the client. If you've got physical products, Shopify, WooCommerce, Etsy, or even just a simple Stripe payment link. Whatever is the simplest for where you're at right now, pick one, set it up, test it by sending yourself a payment. You need to know that it works before you need it. Part 3, the start. Once someone has signed and paid, well, paid if you're keeping the agreement as simple as that, they need to know what happens next. Not a 10-step onboarding sequence. Just what happens next? When is your first session? How do they book it? Where does it take place? Is it on Zoom or is there a physical address? Is there anything they need to do or bring to prepare beforehand? A simple confirmation email covers all of this. You can write a template now and keep it somewhere that you can find it. Should take you about 3 minutes to personalize it and send it each time. Something like, brilliant, so glad we're doing this. Here's the booking link for our first session. Sessions are on Zoom. I'll send a calendar invite with the link once you've booked. If there's anything you'd like to think about or bring for the first session, it's probably going to be blah, 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 blah. I'll see you on X date. That's it. That is onboarding sequence. For now, anyway. You can build it out once you've done it and, know what people actually need from you. The minimum viable admin checklist. In practical terms, here's what you need before you need it. A simple service agreement template, or clear checkout terms if you're a product-based business. A payment method set up and tested. Make sure you know how to send a payment link or an invoice before you've got to send one. A confirmation email template, 3 to 5 sentences. What happens next, when it happens, how to prepare, that's the whole list. 3 things. None of these should take more than a couple of hours to sort out, and once they're sorted, that gap between I'm interested and here's how to proceed can become a same-day email every time. Back to Priya. The second person who booked a call from Priya's page became her first client. After the first call went quiet, Priya spent a weekend getting her minimum viable admin in order. She found a straightforward coaching agreement template online, adapted it to fit her offer, and saved it in Google Drive. She set up Stripe and tested it. She wrote a confirmation email template and saved it as a draft. The second call was on a Tuesday afternoon. It went well. At the end, the person asked how to proceed, and Priya said, "I'll send you an agreement and payment link this afternoon. Once that's sorted, we can get our first session booked in." She sent the email at 4 p.m. The agreement was signed by 6 p.m. The payment came through that evening. First client, first sale. Not because the second call was better than the first one, but because Priya was ready this time. So what's this week's task? 3 things. Do them this week before you need them. 1. Draft your service agreement or confirm your checkout terms are clear. Keep it simple, 5 elements, 1 to 2 pages maximum. 2. Set up your payment method and send yourself a test payment so that you know it works. 3. Write your confirmation email template. 3 to 5 sentences. Save it somewhere you can find it. As always, there's a worksheet that walks you through all of this with the 3 prompts so that you're not staring at a blank page. You can grab that by joining BBS and going into the Basic AF classroom in there. When you've got your minimum viable admin sorted, come and tell us in the BBS community. Not what it looks like, just that it's done. Because it's done is a win to us. Come and claim it. There's a link in the show notes. Next week, we are talking about handling your first client delivery. The scary part, right? What to do once someone's paid and the work actually starts. How to set expectations and how to get through that first engagement without either over-delivering yourself into exhaustion or, what's usually worse, under-delivering and dreading the feedback. We'll sort all that out next week. I'll see you there.